NWA. There was like all these Tupac movies. Is there gonna be a G Unit movie, man? Like, are you gonna wait for like a real G Unit movie, like everybody, or are you just gonna fix everything amongst the clique first and then?
No, I don't care to do that. I think I'd like to forget the G Unit.
What? Yo, whatever, man. You know your fans ain't gonna forget that shit, man.
Look at this.
Yo, NWA was out of here, yo. How you not gonna do that?
Let me tell
No
you.
way. You're not gonna forget it, man. There's no way, yo. There's no way.
I could have did it like Kendrick don't even let them boys come on his stage when he perform. I want Kendrick to do the show all by himself. Bro. I said, I could have did that. What the fuck I'm bringing these dirty niggas on the stage for? I could have did it like Kendrick. Dolo.
Yo, man. That shit was ridiculous. You know what made me bring that up? I was watching the Rough Rider shit the other day. They just put that shit out, the Rough Rider Chronicles. So I'm like, I could imagine like 50 niggas on a tour bus, shootouts in every city. Like, I remember there was a time somebody like died behind the fucking club and we still had to perform. Like the guy was like, yo, if you don't perform, more people are gonna die. And we had to perform. And you with it. You love that shit. Like, you love that shit. Even in Africa, when the niggas was shooting up in the fuck with the AKs, and then you looked at me, you were like, play what up, gangsta. I was like, is this nigga serious? I just saw like they're shooting like AKs at these niggas, man. And this nigga said, play what up, gangsta right now. And you gotta give me some props for not running. There's bad times I could have ran, yo.
Yo, what's up, man? Hit that like button, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. So yeah, 50 was doing an interview with Whoo Kid yesterday, and Whoo Kid brought up, of course, as you see in the clip, a G Unit movie, and 50 was like, nah. He kind of wants to forget it, and some people feel like, wow, that's fucked up. Them your niggas, them your homeboys. They were his niggas. Him and Yayo was still cool from what I understand, but of course, Buck, that fell apart. Banks, they had differences. So like 50 wants to forget about it because to him, for a lot of people, including myself, who grew up on that G Unit wave, that was epic for us. That was just as big to us as Rockefeller's Run, Death Row, Bad Boy, all the great, Rough Riders. It was a great run. And it was. For him, it was a failure because even though they were the first rap group or label to everyone went platinum and they had sneakers, video games, everything. In his eyes, it was a failure because it didn't sustain longevity. They only had like a 5-6 year run, and he wanted them to be like a dynasty label. The plan was for him to pass the torch to Banks, and then Banks was gonna take over. And at the time, other than maybe Jewels and Wayne, Banks was right there for the taking to take over that crown for like that guy. And he fell back. His mom had a heart attack. His father died. He took a couple years off. Buck had his shit. Then he got caught crying on the phone, and then they had to kick him out because he was, it fell apart. Yayo wasn't gonna rap. Game was doing his thing. So it's a failure in 50's eyes because he thought it was still gonna be popping. Or he had set it up for them to be, running hip hop for the next 10, 15, 20 years, and that's not what happened. Now, as far as a movie, that ship is sailed and gone. Timing is everything. He knows that. Like NWA, it was right timing for that because it was 2014, same year you had all of those cop shootings that went viral. So the tension with the police was there. The nostalgia was there. 30 years later, whatnot. But typically, rap movie biopics or whatever, they do it when a rapper's in his prime and the interest is at an all-time high. Now, when they did 8 Mile for Eminem in 2002, that made sense, and it was a great film, and it did good at the box office because the timing was right. Eminem was the hottest thing going. If you would have dropped 8 Mile yesterday in 2020, not so much of a... Eminem doesn't have the same impact on the culture and the interest that he had back then. Get Rich or Die Trying, that movie came out perfect time. If as interesting as 50's story is, if that movie was to be released in 2020, you think it would have had the same? No. The timing is, if they were ever going to do that, ship sailed and gone. If they were going to do a G Unit movie, it should have been done 2004, 2005-ish. They waited too long or whatever, didn't seize the opportunity. Same thing with Dipset, same thing with a lot of these older rap groups and crews. Wu-Tang, kind of like the NWA thing, the TV show works because, like I say, the nostalgia. It's been almost 30 years since they've been out. It's different when you have that You know, nostalgia carries things over. But unless you've been out for 30 years or something, you know, good luck trying to push a movie when your rap crew or yourself, are musically 10 years past relevance or whatever it may be. You know, it's not that good of an investment, and based off interest, I don't see anybody knocking down the doors asking for a G Unit film. So that's why 50 said what he said. But some people taking it out of context. Oh man, that was wrong. You shouldn't talk about your boys like that. I'm like, yeah, well, in his eyes, they failed him. He set them up. I always say 50 and Cam set Jewels and Banks up like babies. They handed the ball off to them at the 1 yard line, and both of them niggas fumbled. They fumbled the rock, and you know who took over? You know who benefited the most in Lloyd Banks' absence and Joel Santana's absence? Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne took over and became the hottest nigga, and they had an opportunity to grab that belt, and they fucking dropped it. So it is what it is, man. And like I say, I don't even know if I would have been interested in the G Unit movie back then. Now, not so much. That's still one of my favorite rap crews. I grew up on them, but I'm just being honest. Like same thing with Dipset. The Locks is working on something. I think the Locks should probably have to wait a little while, maybe. But timing is everything. You missed out. They dropped the ball on that one. So, what y'all think about that, man? Let me know.